Hello. Waiting to see if anybody is out there. Um, this is KNL Live. My name is Kate. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm the social media maven, so I do all the behind the scenes stuff. Today I'm going to be joined by Clyde. He's a very special guest, and he has never done an Instagram before, so it's very exciting. He should be here. Let's see. Yes, this is here. Let's see. Should be joining, right? There he is. Hi, Clyde.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
What's an Instagram?
This is it. Now you're Instagram famous.
It's been a hectic day. So we got 4 good wines, though.
Yeah, I only have 3. I don't know if you saw my message, but I couldn't get the DVO.
Oh, you couldn't get that? Okay.
No, it wasn't down in LA.
So we'll do 3.
How was the traffic?
It was brutal. That's why we're 15 minutes late.
Yeah, so you need some wine.
Yeah, so I got some wine here.
You got some wine. So I'm going to pour myself some of the Insolite.
Insolite.
What was that?
2019.
The 2019.
Franck Mallet Insolite.
So this is one of the first direct buy producers that you brought into the store, right?
Right. In 1995,
Mm-hmm.
25 years ago, we brought in, it was little Betty and Franck Mallet. And I met them in Easter Sunday in Beaune. They drove down from Sancerre to show me the wine that they had. And we were their first customer in the United States.
Oh, wow.
So, and it's special. I think that they're doing a great job. And this wine is probably their best Insolite that I've ever had.
Is it?
Yeah, but by far. They didn't start making this wine until in about 2005 or so, because this is a special vineyard blend. And it's always a little bit more powerful, a little bit more mineral than the regular one. It's all limestone. And it's very, very mineral. This 19, you can smell the minerality in the nose with some citrus, but it's fairly rich.
It is. It's pretty lush. I read that they do a lot of skin contact, so
it is a lot of fermentation on the skins, but it's got crisp acidity. It's fantastic. 19, a great vintage in the Loire Valley, much better than 18. And when I first tasted this over there, I go, this is going to be a winner, and it's here now. And we just got 100 more cases in yesterday, and I think it's for like $29, $29.99. It's the absolute steal for a great Sauvignon Blanc, and refreshing, clean. But like you say, it's rich enough to go with a little bit richer stuff like the lobster or something like that. But great cracked crab, forest fish, everything. I mean, and we drink it as an aperitif and everything. But
how did you get hooked up with them? How did they meet you?
You know, we were looking in the early 90s for people that we could bring in wines direct from the producer so that we bypass middlemen and we lower the price because there's no export or importer. And we had just sent out feelers after reading a bunch of publications and reading about Robert Parker, and he was mentioning different people that didn't have distributors in the United States and stuff. And so we just put it out feelers, and a lot of people said, okay, we'd like you to carry our wine. And these people, we weren't in Sancerre. Like I said, we were in Beaune in Burgundy on our way down to the Rhone. And I said, I really can't back up. So they said, hey, we'll come down at 9 o'clock in the morning with 2 bottles of their wine. And we drank them. Jim Shannon-Luke was with me. He was a former member of KNL and was the buyer for these wines at the time. And we said, this wine is delicious. And it was not very expensive. And that was a regular Sancerre, okay? And he had just taken over the estate. His father left him and his brother half the estate each. And so So we met Frank and Betty, and they were probably 18, 19, 20 years old. They weren't married, thing. And we said, we'll buy, X number of cases. Do you mind if I don't spit?
No, I don't mind at all.
And that was the beginning. And so 25 years later, they're making fantastic products. Make red wine, Sancerre Rouge, which is very good, Pinot Noir, and rosé, very special rosé. They're doing well. They're pretty famous now in France and in Paris. You'll find their wine over a lot of different places.
And I looked on their website, and they had a picture at KL Hollywood, so they've been out to visit us.
Yeah, and they've been over a few times.
Have they?
Travel. Yeah, and I've taken them around, and they wanted to go to the Napa Valley, of course, and everything. And so now they have this most beautiful house that they were able to buy and overlook the vineyards of Sancerre. And we're supposed to go there on our tour in May. It was supposed to be this May, but you know what happened this May because of the COVID.
You have big plans.
Yeah, we're looking forward to going and tasting their wine. So I really highly, highly recommend this 2019. 100% Sauvignon Blanc. Sancerre is very, very popular nowadays. It's a little bit drier than most of the Californias, not oaky like some of the California wines. So a little more refreshing. And this one, it just begs to be drunk because it's so clean and the acidity. But like you said, there's quite a bit of richness in the nose and everything. Yeah,
and the fruit is ripe too. It's kind of a crossover. I think if people like California Sauvignon Blancs, they'll like this because it's
halfway. It's not going to be bone dry like a Chablis, something like that. But I know that my wife and I drink a lot of Sancerre in the evening. Not a lot, of course. Just in like a bottle.
Just enough.
Anyway.
Well, you like Sauvignon Blanc, right? Because you're also a Bordeaux Blanc fan, right?
Yeah. A little bit more than Chardonnay, but I'll drink a bottle of Chablis or Merceau every so often. But this is our go-to white wine.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
Yeah, and the terroir in this wine, you can taste the rock. It's interesting that this wine comes in wooden cases, and that's pretty rare in Sancerre to get wooden cases. 6-pack wooden case. And they always put in 2 or 3 rocks from this vineyard, this special vineyard that they have.
I saw that yesterday when I was picking up this bottle.
Yeah, the rocks, and we collect the rocks. And I just hope they don't run out of rocks in the vineyard. We have boxes of them at KL right now. The 100 cases come in and it goes out. I told Keith yesterday that we have to load up on the 19 because I know the 20 will be good, but a winter like this will age for a long time. We bring some of these wines out after they're 5 or 6 years old, 7 years old, and the wines are fantastic.
So someone just asked us, Jay Goldman asked us what wine we're discussing. It is the Insolite from Domaine Franck Millet in Sancerre. It's their reserve cuvée.
Right. It's their top of the line. It's a frosted bottle. And if you buy a 6-pack, you get the rocks with it too, free.
Yeah.
So I really, it's just a real cold temperature skin fermentation that makes the richness of this wine come through.
Yeah, and you get a lot of color too.
Yeah, and this is young. But I think this wine, I will put some of this away for 5 years or 6. It's like I'm a fan of Didier Dagenot's wine, Puy Fumé, and I've been drinking the 2008, 9, 10, and 14 now. And the wines last for a long time. This wine's going to last for a good 5 or 6 years.
Speaking of, didn't they just start doing a Puy Fumé?
Yes.
Right,
and
there's a new bottle?
Yeah, a Puy Fumé they're doing. And I think it's in a club, one of our clubs. They just started making that about 2 years ago, I think, or 3 years ago. They also make a Manitou Salon, which is another area right near in Sancerre, Puy Fumé, and we bring in that occasionally, but they don't make a lot of that. This wine comes right from their estate vineyard. You have to go visit them when you go to Sancerre. Stay at the hotel. What's the name of the hotel at the top? Perfect view of all the vineyards of Sancerre. Just got remodeled. We stay there all the time. I'm having a senior moment right now.
Parliament. P.
Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, they're welcome guests. They would love to have people come and see the place. And now it's not a fancy place, but it's about 3 miles outside of town in a cute little village. And they can give you the whole tour of the vineyards. He's very proud of the vineyards and everything.
Yeah, I can't wait till the world opens up again and we can do stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, long in the mouth. And the thing about the wine is the balance. It's the great acidity with the richness, and the acidity will hold the wine for a long time.
Yeah.
And I would not serve it super cold, because it tends to, in the old days when you saw these jugs of wines that serve very cold, that means they're not very good.
Right, because then you can't really taste them.
They cover everything up.
I opened this up about 15 minutes ago, and it's perfect.
Yeah.
Right now.
And it'll keep going. It's very nice.
So it's been in your car, traveling with you, right? And
right.
That's at road temperature. Should we move on to the Montfaucon?
Do you want to go to Montfaucon? Okay, we'll go to Montfaucon. Another interesting. Pardon?
Panoramic Hotel.
Panoramic Hotel is the name of the hotel in Sancerre.
Oh, okay.
You can get a room for not very expensive, maybe 120 euros, 130 euros, and beautiful views. The town of Sancerre is a very nice town, and it's only about 150 yards from Franck and Betty Millet's house. So maybe they'll invite you down for a drink or something.
Sounds nice.
So you move to Chateau de Montfaucon, and we're tasting out of a Magnum on this wine.
I'm not. I thought we were doing the Chateauneuf de Pape.
Oh. Okay.
You're doing
the
Baron Louis?
I'm doing Baron Louis.
Okay,
Baron
Louis. We have two different ones to talk about then.
Okay. You can tell me about the Chateauneuf. I'll tell you about the Lirac. The Chateauneuf is rather new in their portfolio because the Chateau de Montfaucon comes from the town of Montfaucon, which is right across the Rhone River from Chateauneuf de Pape.
Right, they're Lirac, right?
Yeah, right there, and they're in Lirac, and it's the bridge is maybe 300 yards long or something like that, and then you're in Chateauneuf de Pape. So now they make a Chateauneuf de Pape, which we've only been carrying for about 4 or 5 years.
I think they've only been making it since 2014, so it's brand new.
So it's a small vineyard, so they don't make a lot of the Chateauneuf. Their main wine is Côte de Rhone because they can't call it Chateauneuf de Pape. They have a Lirac, and actually Baron Louis now says Lirac on it. Before it used to say Côte de Rhone. Okay, but Lirac's becoming a little bit more famous and it has its own seal on the bottle and everything. But Montfaucon is another direct buy. Another
one of your longtime producers.
We met Rudy in 1993. Carrie, you were there with us in 1993, and tasted with them. And he had a connection with Davis. I went to Davis, and he went to Davis, Rudy. He had a connection with the BV, Balou Vineyards in Napa Valley. He's a relative of the Marquis de Pen and George de Latour, which made their famous George de Latour private reserves from BV. So we got along great. The property is amazing. The building that they live in they started building it in the year 1098.
Wow.
So it's over 1,000 years old, and it's right on the Rhone. Sits up high. It was in the 14th and 15th century. It was the toll collector for anybody going up the Rhone. You had to pay your toll at Chateau Montfaucon. Okay, this was way before Rudy's family took over and everything. The Baron Louis is named Baron Louis because he was one of the founders of Montfaucon from this family. It's about 3 generations before Rudy. Rudy is about 50 years old right now. He was born in 1966, so yeah, he's 54 years old. Mm-hmm. And he is so passionate about his wines. We started carrying his wine. Again, we were the first ones in the United States to carry Chateau Montfaucon. When we tasted the wines, we said, these are the passion that these young people had for the wine, and the wines were good. We said, you know, and they're not terribly expensive.
No, they're so good, and they're always such a good value. I think this Chateauneuf du Pape is $39.99, which is, I mean.
And where can you get $39.99 Chateauneuf? Most of them are $59 or $159.99.
But even the Côte de Rhone is excellent every year, and it's $12.99. You know.
Yeah, $12.99, and the Baron Louis is a step up. Okay, so the Baron Louis that I'm drinking out of a Magnum, it's 2015. 15 was a very warm vintage. Mm-hmm. So the wine is warm, round, sweet, a lot of Grenache in the wine. You know, Rudy prides himself on some of his wines have 12 different varieties of grapes in the wine. This one, they stuck to Grenache about 60%, and Syrah 15, a little Carignan, a little Mourvèdre. But they have all these oddball grapes in some of those blends, like the Côte de Rhone, the regular Côte de Rhone. Mm-hmm. We got white grapes, red grapes, everything in there. But this is a Grenache-based wine, and it has the Grenache as the raspberry, you know, real raspberry. Your Chateauneuf is probably a big Grenache.
I think it's 92% Grenache and 8% Mourvèdre.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No Syrah.
No Syrah. So, no, not that let me double check my notes, but I think nope. No, mostly Grenache. Mm-hmm. And you definitely get a lot of that bright red fruit in this.
Yeah, yeah. And easy to drink. They will age, because what we're doing now is Rudy has always put a few cases away in the since the late 90s to sell at a later time. And every so often when we go there, we talk them out of 5 cases of this and 6 cases of this. And, you know, so if you ever find a 2005 or 6, I think you'll really enjoy the wines. And like you say, they're not very expensive. One of the reasons is we pay Rudy for the wine, just like we pay Franck Mallet. We don't pay an importer, an exporter, whatever. You know, and we bring the wine in directly from them. So it's fresh, it's not going, it just gets here and under great conditions. I think that for a red wine, this wine, Rhone, this is not a heavy Rhone because there's a lot of Grenache in it, but you can go, you know, I'm thinking, I'm making, starting tomorrow, a cassoulet for dinner on Christmas Eve. And this would go well with the cassoulet, something around, which a stew or something like that. It's a winter wine, but it's not heavy and it's not ponderous. And the Chateauneuf is the same, because I've had this.
This one is actually pretty lifted. You get a lot of bright red fruit. There's firm tannins. It's firm and structured, and I know it'll age for a long time. You get lavender and some herbs, but it's really kind of bright. I mean, not a heavy winter wine. This could be, you'd be happy to drink it in the winter, but I would drink it all year long. This is so good.
So if you ever get a chance, where customers go, Rudy loves to see customers too. And you better figure on spending an hour or so at least. They have a tasting room right there in Montfaucon. And if you're lucky enough, maybe he'll walk you up to the chateau, and then take you up the 6 or 7 flights to the top, and we overlook the whole Rhone Valley.
Wow,
it's beautiful. Yeah,
and that was the toll, the old toll booth.
Yeah, and if you didn't go, and there was a court inside there where the judge, if anybody broke any laws, it was the seat of all the law in that area, Chateauneuf du Pape, and well, Chateauneuf du Pape came about in about the 13th century. I think it was with Pope Clement, from Pope Clement. Montfaucon was there way before that. It was they were making wine in the 1100s. So
wow.
Yeah, and like I said, because it's Lirac, this one, the Montfaucon Baron Louis, it doesn't have the price of Chateauneuf de Pape. But like you said, that Chateauneuf is only $39.
Yeah.
I don't think we have, we might have one other Chateauneuf at that price. You know? So I definitely recommend it. We have a soft spot for both these first two producers. And we're happy that we carry their wines, and they are so happy that we do too. And I would say that this wine, put it away 5 years minimum. But this Magnum, we just opened it, and it's opened pretty well. You said that your Chateauneuf is a little bit more tannic. It needs a bit. Did you decant it?
I didn't decant it. I opened it about 45 minutes ago, so half an hour. You know, I just think it could use a decant.
Yeah, yeah. Nothing wrong with decanting. I know the Burgundy people say decanting doesn't help. I don't believe it. Okay. So,
No, I think it does.
yeah, I think it does a lot for sure.
I mean, it depends on the wine, you know, and maybe in Burgundy it's too delicate in some ways.
Yeah, but there's a lot of sediment and stuff like that. We have arguments all the time back and forth, but people have different ideas. So
Yeah.
in Bordeaux, we love to decant in Bordeaux because the wines need air.
Well, should we move on to Bordeaux?
Why not Bordeaux? Because I mean, K&L is really known for Bordeaux. Ever since we started in '76, mainly because I was the Bordeaux buyer and one of the owners, and I loved Bordeaux from the first time I tasted it back in 1971, and started buying Bordeaux. And I love California wines also, but to me, Bordeaux, the red Bordeaux's especially, are some of the best values and definitely the longest living wines.
Absolutely. Yeah, and what I've learned from you about Bordeaux is just to find the sort of the petite chateau and the off vintages, and you can really find good value if you trust Clyde.
If you have a good retailer like K&L,
if you have a Clyde.
But what I would say is there's no retail shop in the United States that I know of that carries the assortment of Bordeaux that we have, not necessarily because we have Chateau Petrus or Chateau Lafite or Chateau Latour, but we find wines that are priced correctly, that we can offer a good value. Because, you know, Bordeaux has this everybody thinks that, oh, Bordeaux is expensive. You go to a restaurant and all the Bordeaux are more expensive because there's not a great distribution channel in the United States for Bordeaux. When we say we buy direct from Bordeaux, only a few chateaus are able to sell us in Bordeaux directly. Okay, there's a process called negotiant. You have to go through a negotiant to get it, but you don't have to go through a negotiant to an exporter to an importer to a wholesaler to us. So we're cutting out some layers, okay, on the price. So we find some of these wines that first of all, I've been going to Bordeaux since 1985, almost every year, at least once or twice. And most of these chateaus that we're bringing in, these inexpensive chateaus, I've never seen the chateau. I mean, there's so many chateaus. I mean, when we go to Bordeaux, we have to go taste at Côtes Esternelles and Montrose and Langot and Leoville Barton. The names, we can't spend too much time tasting $20 bottles and $15 bottles, but we taste these at negotiants' offices because the word is that we are always looking for good value Bordeaux. And right now we're specializing in this wine that we're doing here. This is the Belgrade you're talking about, right?
Right.
Belgrade du Peugeot.
So is this a direct buy?
It's a direct buy through a negotiant. Okay.
Right.
It's a property that I've probably driven by 15 times, but I've never seen a sign or anything. It's a very small property. It's very close to the town of Bordeaux, so it's not up. You know, most of the Bordeaux chateaux are either south, we're in the Pessac, Leguenant, or real north in the Médoc. This one's just out of the town of Bordeaux, to the north a little bit. And it's very, very small. It's almost like a Burgundy style. It's like 2 hectares or 4 acres or 5 acres.
It's
Never
delicious.
never heard of this wine. And
I mean, it's
they only make 2,000 cases or so, total. That's not very much. The big chateaus like Lafite and stuff make 20 to 1,000 of the first wine, not counting the second wine and all that others. So 2,000 cases, and we sell this wine for less than $20. And so
it's gorgeous. It's spot on.
Yeah, and Peugeot. There's a lot of Peugeots around. We know Chateau Peugeot is one of our favorites, and there's a lot of Belgraves around. Okay, but Belgraves do Peugeot. I go, what is this wine? And it's Au Médoc, and it's from an area close to. We stay at the Gulf de Médoc down there in the Pion, just north of Bordeaux, and it's close in that area. I have to go and look it up and meet the family and everything and make some money. You got to be dedicated to making a small amount of wine. When you're selling it, we're selling it for $20. You can imagine that these people aren't making a lot of money. When a bottle of Lafite costs me, 1,000 euros or whatever.
Yeah. So they're only making 2,000 cases. This is their only bottle. Their only cuvee.
Yeah, they you know what? They may have a second wine, or something on the side. I don't know. I don't know enough about it. We get samples like this all the time, and we go yay or nay. And I have a few people tasting with me, and we go, hey, this wine tastes really good. It's a very good vintage too. 2016. 16 is a great vintage in Bordeaux. Perhaps not as good as 09, the voluptuous of 09 with a density of 10. But the 16 is right close. I think it's the best vintage since those two vintages. The wines are really vibrant, lively, bright. This is a lot of Merlot, over 50% Merlot in it. A lot of the wines from the Au Médoc have the Merlot. So it's got a little bit more black fruit in the nose. Goes down pretty smooth. I would say this is your Tuesday night hamburger wine.
It's beautiful. And everything I've had from 2016 has just been graceful, powerful, but still there's like an elegance to it. And this, it's just right there.
So we bought quite a bit of this wine because, like I said, it only comes around once. And I found it from a small negotiant who sent me a thing, says, you might be interested in this wine. He's actually J.C. Mereau, who does Tour St. Christophe in Auvergne from the Quoc family vineyards. And I go, wow, we tasted this wine. I go, this is unbelievably good. So we bought what we could, and hopefully some people would enjoy it. And it's young, but you can still drink this with, like I said, a hamburger or
I think even a lamb chop. It's got
steak.
A lot of richness. Steak, yeah.
Right. The one bottle that you didn't get was the DVO, right? The 2000.
Yeah, we didn't have it in LA.
Yeah, well, it just came in, but it's not coming until Monday.
Okay.
We just got some more. And what I wanted to mention about that is, in Bordeaux, we're also known for carrying. We're talking about the 2000 vintage. Okay, so you got 20-year-old Bordeaux. We're finding these older Bordeaux's that are drinking very well, and we're going. And the price, this wine sells for $39. It's 20 years old. I mean, and it's from Lalande de Pomerol, which is right near Saint-Emilion and Pomerol between.
And from the best vintage in, the lot of vintage.
Yeah, it was Y2K, right? That was the big one. And like I said, I had never heard, and we've been to Lalande Pomerol, of course, with the Fleur de Beauard a couple times, and Sirac and stuff like that. Never heard of the Chateau. The label looks like it was 18th century label, old school. It's Domaine de Viode. We tasted 2 bottles of two different vintages. We bought them both, and every time we buy these wines, they sell out because they're from $30 to $40 a bottle, and they're almost 20 years old. Some of these. Okay, so this
and
one's
you get them straight from the winemaker.
from a negociant.
Negociant, yeah.
You have to be careful in Bordeaux. Not some winemakers will sell you something direct, or like we bought Latour de Vie. We have Latour de Vie Cuvée K and L right now.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, it's the same as Latour de Vie regular, but they have to put Cuvée K and L because you're not supposed to buy direct. So they
Right.
so by putting a K and L Cuvée on it, hey, that's a completely different wine. But it's the same wine, and we sell it cheaper than the
Yeah, I
regular
just
wine.
saw that. That's new in our stores too.
Yeah, right.
Somebody just asked about the producer of the last wine, so I'm going to show the bottle. Belgrave du Peugeot,
The producer,
2016.
it. I don't know the family at all. Do we have the bottle here? Let's see. Yeah. And of course, in the back, it's not going to say anything about it.
So I looked it up. There's actually 4 different VO in Lalande de Pomerol.
There is.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
there wasn't much information out there because there's so they're all small producers.
And so what is VO? I don't know what that means. A lot of times they don't know. They make words up, and but this wine, this 16 vintage of Belgrave is 50% Merlot, like I said, and it has a little bit of new oak actually in the wine, which is kind of expensive. And so the average age of the vineyard is 35 years. The problem with the vineyard is it's being encroached by housing tracts. And they've lost a little bit of the vineyard already, because you can get pretty good money for housing tracts, and the vineyard land, when you're selling the wine for $8 a bottle to us, or $8 to whoever, and then it has to go through eight euros, I should say.
Yeah.
So we don't know how long this property will be around. Okay, what's happening is, Bordeaux gets bigger. Well, that with Le Mission Aubrion, it's surrounded by houses, and the land is very, very valuable. But Le Mission Aubrion sells for $300 a bottle, not $19.99.
So there's nothing in Bordeaux that dictates some of the land has to be used for agriculture. I think, isn't that in Napa where they have certain land set aside?
There's a certain amount, but they don't always stick by all the rules all the time. So anyway,
people pay more for houses, I guess, than vineyards.
Right. Yeah, for $19 Bordeaux wine.
Well,
so that's the extent of those wines. And like I said, we just got in a container of older. We have a hard time keeping older wine in stock, Bordeaux especially, because you can buy them for under $40 a bottle, and they're 15, 20 years old or whatever, and they taste great. They're not. The problem when you go to a restaurant is most restaurant lists have all the big name wines, and they're going to be like Lieu de Lascaux, $400 a bottle, Lafite, whatever. And they have very few restaurants that carry wines like this, value wines where you could drink, and this wine would maybe be $50 in a restaurant, or $60 or something like that. And that's why Bordeaux gets the bad rap of, they're too expensive, nobody can afford them.
It's true, and I think that working at K&L has helped demystify Bordeaux for me. And Jacques is our liaison in LA, and he always just says, look for the petit chateau, look for the smaller places who are just families making wine. It's not all the big the big corporate money,
right.
Chinese money. There's a lot of heart and soul there.
No. And it's amazing that that they can make it. It's difficult for them now because of the cost of making the wine and everything like that. To be able to sell the wine for 4 or 5 euros it's tough. It costs a lot of money to make the bottle. I mean, a bottle, maybe the Lafite bottle is fancier, okay, and a label and everything like that. But when the Lafite is $700 a bottle, it doesn't cost. They make a lot of money, basically.
Yeah.
Okay, the classified wines, they make a lot of money per bottle. And these guys that are selling these wines, and we're selling them for $20 or even $25, they're not getting rich. They're just farmers. Okay. Pardon? Farmers, right? Okay.
Do you want to tell us about the DVO? Is that what you have in your glass?
The DVO. Okay. The DVO. Like I said, interesting that this wine came. Two young negotiants, salespeople that work for negotiants. They come to the United States a lot. Well, they did until this year. Okay. And one of the girls that came is, she represents Chateau Angelus, which is, first growth, expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And she was traveling with a young lady who was bringing a couple of bottles. And we know Angelus, and we sell a lot of Angelus, but that's $300 plus a bottle. And so, she brought these other two bottles, and I remember they came to San Francisco one night, and we went to the San Francisco holiday party. Okay, it was several years ago, and brought these two bottles of wine, and it was one DVO. And I said, I like the old school label. Well, we had it that night with the staff with San Francisco, and people go, wow, this wine's pretty good. What I said, well, we can sell for $30, $35, $40. Holy man, that's pretty good wine. And so those things just happen, and when you're known, and this young girl knew that we were looking for these type of wines, so she brought these bottles, because people are, when you're known for buying either young, like the Dupougeot or DVO, older Bordeaux, at values, we deal with 30 different negotiants. So every day I've got, try this here. We'll send you a sample. We just bought in a wine that's going into one of our clubs. That's a 2010 vintage, a great vintage, 2010, Belsier, and we just bought 150 cases of the wine because my son Trey tasted it yesterday and said this has to go in the club, one of the clubs. And so it'll go in the signature, or it'll go to one of the premium club in about 3 or 4 months. It takes a while to get these wines in.
Yeah.
So we get inundated with these type of wines, and most retailers in almost all restaurants don't deal with these kind of wines because, first of all, you can't buy 3 cases like at a restaurant. We buy 50 cases, 100 cases, whatever. The restaurant, and they don't have people on the street selling wines like $19.99. Most of the salespeople in the United States, they make more money selling Kendall Jackson or Farniente or things like that. They don't fool around with these kinds of things because they have quotas and those other things, and these are just kind of extra. So they don't get, if I go to another life someday, I will bring in good value Bordeaux into the United States and go around to all these really good, it could be a good restaurant, even like the famous French Laundry, to be able to sell a wine that somebody can say, hey, even at the French Laundry, if it's $100 a bottle, we probably sell it for 20. But they, it doesn't give Bordeaux a black eye, and it's got a black eye from all the Chateau Petrus at $4,000 a bottle and stuff like that. So
well, maybe you don't have to sell to restaurants. Maybe you just do some more Instagrams about amazing value Bordeaux.
Yeah. And like I said, we have 5 new ones coming in. One Aubergé 04, delicious wine, under $30. Couffron 09, great vintage 09. Couffron, famous old property, 09 for less than $25. And the DVO, I said, is coming back in. Oh, if you're old school, Chateau Godin. We've done that a few. You probably have tasted the '97 vintage. Godin is the chateau is right next to Chateau Latour and Pichon-Volant. Got pretty good neighbors, right? Selling it for $29.99 versus $299 for Pichon-Volant. Same vintage.
So in general, are these smaller chateaux just being drunk in France? Are they staying in France and not really moving out?
You know, what's happened? We're finding that generations change, and the old school people, they didn't sell a lot of the wine.
Oh, they just had it in their cellar.
And we had Belgrave, Chateau Bel Air Le Grave.
Mm-hmm.
We're just bringing in the 95, 96. We did the 89, the 90. There was all this wine discovered when the young kids took over from the older. They go, "What do you do with all this wine?" You know, and oh, well, you know, and they said, "Oh, we got to sell it." So we bought so much of that wine. It's been sitting in their properties for years. You know, I mean, 25, 30 years.
I mean, and that means it's impeccably stored, right, and hasn't moved or anything.
Yeah, impeccably up to a point. I mean, the chateaus aren't in those days, but it's cool. It's underground, and you know,
Yeah.
it's fine. And a lot of them they reconditioned, but we've sold so much of those 89s and 90s from properties that you could never have found the wine. And now some of the people that are taking over these properties said, we got to get rid of some of this wine. And so we've been fortunate enough, when these things happen, they notify KNL that, hey, we've got this, you want to try it? So because they know that we like this is what we live on these kind of wine. Anybody can sell Chateau Lafite or Lynchage and stuff like that, but it's tougher to sell these kind of wines because you have to.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a testament to you for this great wine program that you've built. I mean, you're really the heart and soul of it.
Well, it's one thing. A lot of people are buying on points these days, you know, and it's and if it's 100 points, it's got to be unbelievable. A lot of these wines aren't getting any points. Okay, so let's face it.
Yeah, but you know, we got to trust your palate, the buyer's palates. We've got a lot of really talented experts.
Yeah.
So I see Keith down here. When does the Bois Malo come back?
Bois Malo that's a steal, right? That's like not very expensive. Bois Malo. It's coming back. It's on a container that is arriving. Unfortunately, it's probably gonna miss the holiday season. We can't keep it in stock. Okay, the problem with it, we buy it at 100 or 200 cases at a time, and now we're on to the 15 vintage, and it comes in and it goes flying out, and what we're finding now, we're having a problem. All the ports are backed up, and in your area, everybody's blaming the Long Beach port. There's everything's backed up, and maybe it's COVID related or whatever, you know.
Everybody's probably buying online more and shipping stuff, you know, because of COVID, right?
Yeah, it could be that, but our containers are averagely running 3 to 4 weeks late, and so the Bois Malo, which is, we try to stay ahead and project like Keith Mabry does with his the Millet and all the Sancerres. But you know, if something doesn't show up, it doesn't show up, and you know, so we'll unfortunately, but that wine will be here early in January for sure. You know, and we've already placed an order app for it, and I don't know if it's going to be any easier next year, but you know, this is a time we really want the wines in to sell, because this is a good time of the year, and unfortunately everything's getting delayed.
So I have a question here from Keith in Jura, which is Keith Mabry. How are the tariffs affecting prices?
The tariffs affecting prices. Well, what's happened with that is in Italy is free. Obviously, they don't have any tariffs right now. Champagne is okay. Bordeaux, that has affected the high end more than the low end. Okay. Because when you're buying a bottle, and if you sell it for 400 and you have to sell for 500, that's a big difference. But what's happening with the lower priced wines, some of the properties are saying, hey, you know, we'll go with you. You know, we'll give you 10% off of the normal price, and so And so instead of selling a wine for $12.99, we got to go to $14.99 or something like that. It really hasn't hurt the Loire Valley very much. Our prices are so good because they're all direct buys from $17.99. It has to go to $19.99. We get a little deal from the producer. He throws a few cases in and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So it's more drastic with Burgundy because Burgundies are all under 14. It's amazing how Bordeaux all of a sudden everything's 14.5. You're looking at all the labels. Wow, this wine.
There's a little wiggle room there.
Well, okay, the 2018 vintage, 90% of the wines are over 14. Okay. In the past, everybody has wanted to put the lower alcohol on the label. You have a range. If you're a 14.1, you can go 14 or 14.5. Or if you're 13.9, you can go 14 or 13.5. Everybody was tending to want lower alcohol wine, so they would put the lower number. All of a sudden, that's changed. Now, all of a sudden, the higher number's there. And so I'm looking at all these wines. I go, now the Rhone Valley, a lot of them are 14, 14.5. 15. Okay. Bordeaux, less problem. Right bank, especially Merlot, is higher alcohol wine than Cabernet. Burgundy has gotten hurt. And what happens with like first growths from Lafite and Margaux are usually not over 14, and we're not buying those direct from the chateau. Okay, we have to go through, and we're buying them for the same price as some other retailers in the United States or in Europe or whatever are buying them for, and so you can't say, and Lafite says, we'll give you 10% off. They're not doing that, okay? So that has hurt the high-end wines, okay? But it hasn't really bothered the direct buy stuff because we work with the people we're buying directly from.
But Burgundy, that's tough because those are already often quite expensive.
Yeah. Alec is having a problem. But the thing about Burgundy is there's so little made of most of those wines.
Yeah.
That if you're going to pay $100 or $125, if you want the wine, you want the wine. So,
Yeah. I imagine Burgundy collectors are a lot like Bordeaux collectors. That price difference probably wouldn't deter them from buying it.
Yeah. It's tougher for me to try to when I'm making a buy, going, oh wow, I have to sell that wine for, hey, we sold Lynch Bage for this price, and now it's, this price. Plus the dollar's a little weaker right now, so that hurts, But all in all, I think it was a very good year. Let's face it, everybody's drinking more wine because what else are you going to do, right?
Well, and you're not going out to a restaurant buying wine, so it's or maybe not as much.
No. No. So we still have to do a dinner with the 88s, but we'll leave.
I know.
Anyway, yeah, but you got to support the small business people, like K&L. No, actually, like Franck Millet and Montfaucon and the little the Peugeot and the DBO. Okay, people will buy Lynch Bage, and they're going to buy Anthony Barton's wines, and they're going to buy Lafite. And there's a lot of collectors out there. There's a lot of people with a lot of money, that they're buying these kind of wines. But our specialty is, like I said, to try to find good values that you can drink every day.
Yeah. And on that note, cheers.
All right.
I enjoyed these wines that you chose, and I really liked hearing the stories behind them all. Okay. You had one comment down here. It was cheers from the Anderson Valley, Clyde, from Smith Story Wines.
Oh, Smith Story.
Yeah.
Very good friends. Very good. Allison.
Eric.
And Eric. Yeah. And we love your wines too.
Yeah, we sell those too.
Yeah. Thanks.
Well, thank you so much for doing this. This was a lot of fun. And, if you've got new exciting wines coming in, we should do it again and let everybody know about them.
We will. Okay. Thanks. Have a good holiday.
Thank you. You too. Thanks, everybody, for joining us.